Thank you very much, Jimmy. So first of all, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are. My name is Agnes. I am as Jimmy just said, the Airspace event show director. And I will be giving you the presentation alongside with the team that is working on these events. The objective of this team, just to kind of be very clear, is not really necessary for us to give you loads of information. This is really about feedback. We want to provide you as our members a platform to give us feedback on what you would like to see at the events, what works for you, what doesn't work, but also give you a little bit of an overview what is happening on the event space. Because as most of you know, our event portfolio has grown over the last couple of years. So there's a lot of happening at the moment, and we just want you to be aware of why and what we're doing. We will talk you through, we will give you initially a recap of Airspace World 2025 and give you an overview of what to expect at Airspace World 2026. We'll talk briefly about Airspace Asia Pacific, Airspace Africa and Middle East. Mike will then cover the regional events, and we will give you a bit of information as well on our webinars and virtual events. As I said, this is an interactive session. We really want your feedback, just to make sure that we're on the right track and deliver what our members want us to deliver. Before we start, though, let me introduce the team to you. So, Jim, if you could go to the next slide. So I think most of you on the call will be very familiar with our own internal team because some of you interact with our team quite a lot. But for those that might not be, let me just do a quick introduction. Starting with Mike Treacher. Mike is our VP of Sales and looks after our associate member relationships. So I think most people are really familiar with Mike's work. Alongside Mike is working Christina, who is also on our sales team. Then moving in the presentation, Joaquin, again, a very familiar face to most of you. Joaquin looks after the exhibition and the customer care element of our Airspace events. Munawar is in charge of our marketing, meaning all the communications that you see about the event is coming from Munawar. Munawar then works very closely with Angie, who is our media relations manager. Sam is our content manager, so anything to do with the agenda, with speakers, that is the person behind that. And then we have Jimmy and Ruth, who are delivering our regional events, but are also in charge of the Leadership Summit, the AGM, and really kind of more membership-driven events that we deliver throughout the year. There's other people that work on the background, but this is the core team that delivers the events for CANSO. So, Jimmy, if you could go to the next slide. So first of all, I'm just going to spend really a brief moment to talk to you about our event structure and this distinction of what kind of events we deliver. So Jimmy, for the next slide. So first of all, we have the Airspace event series. You all know we launched these a couple of years ago in Geneva. Airspace World is taking place in Lisbon as of this year. It includes the CANSO AGM, the Leadership Summit and the awards. Airspace Asia Pacific and Airspace Africa and Middle East are our new events. They very much focus on regional topics and conversations. They will be happening biannually. And the CANSO Regional Conference for members will always take place alongside that event. The objective of the Airspace event series is really to convene the wider ATM and UTM industry. This is not just focused on members. And basically, through these events, we provide a platform to advance conversations and to showcase products. Then moving on to our CANSO regional events, I've listed them here for you. So we have the CANSO Asia Pacific Conference, CANSO Africa Conference, CANSO Latin America and Caribbean Conference, CANSO Safety Conference, CANSO OCS Summit Connect. The difference to the Airspace events is that these events are open to only members. And they're very much conference-driven, workshop-driven, with a small exhibition area alongside that. And they really focus on regional issues. So on these ones specifically, we work very close with our regional directors to make sure that really cover your needs for these events. So before we go into all the events, I'm going to first pass over to Munawar from our marketing team, who will give you a little bit of an overview and preview on Airspace World. Just to say, these slides are really, really short because we really want to focus on the feedback session that is coming afterwards. So Munawar, over to you.
Agnes, and good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone. Next slide, please. So just to give an overview on the attendees and our marketing that we've been doing for Airspace World 2025. So as you can see, from 2024 to 2025, our total aviation professionals who attended the Airspace World event jumped up quite significantly. So that was down to our new branding, our launching around our marketing activities across our socials. So it was really good to see a great turnout in 2025, and we'll be pushing for an even bigger turnout in 2026. The top 5 countries that represented the attendees are from Portugal, Spain, France, the United Kingdom, and Germany. And the top 5 industry sectors that were represented at the events were air navigation service providers, aerospace, airports, defense, government and regulatory bodies. One of the areas that we're looking to focus strategically for next year are around vertiports, airlines, defense and military, aircraft manufacturers, telecommunications, and airports. That's it from myself. I'll hand over to my colleague Sam.
Thank you, Munavar. Thank you, everybody, again for being here. As mentioned, my name is Sam Harisco. I'm the Airspace Events Content Manager. So I'm going to start off, and I'm just going to give a recap of our conference at Airspace World in 2025. So this year, we had a total of 5 theaters that were running throughout the 2.5 days of the event, and that totaled to be 133 sessions. With that, we had over 340 speakers on stage representing from all over the world and throughout all different types of topics. So we base our conference on these 8 main themes. Every year, we decide on a few themes that we think are representative of the industry as a whole. So these are the themes in 2025, as you can see them right there. Although these are the overarching themes we decide on, that doesn't mean that every session fits in within these exact subjects. So many sessions fit into multiple of these categories, where some sessions fit in none of the above, but these are still relevant to our attendees. So overall, this is what we go for, but every year it's going to be different depending on what are hot topics in the industry and how can we use our content and push the industry and put people on stage to really move forward. As I'm sure most of you know, many of our time slots we fill through a call for content submission process. As our event grows, we receive more and more submissions while the number of time slots remain the same, since we only have 5 theaters and we're not increasing the number of theaters and we're not increasing the amount of time available throughout the days. So with our 5 theaters, we total 91 25-minute time slots available through our call for content process. So in 2024, we had 135 submissions, whereas in 2024, and then 2025, we had 151 submissions. So we're really expecting more and more throughout the coming years. So we have to be a little bit pickier when we're deciding on who we're going to allow to speak. So through there, we have a process where we go through and we decide what we think we pick the ones that we think are going to benefit the masses the most for the industry as a whole, not really looking at specifics when it comes to details. So we are. So we got to be pickier for that. We only have so many to be available. Next slide, Chime. So I'm just going to give a quick preview as well as we look towards 2026. So we're nearing the opening of call for content for Airspace World 2026. Our submission form is going to be open on the 28th of October, and it's going to remain open until the 27th of January in 2026. So we'll be announcing the main themes shortly around early to mid-October to give an idea of what we're looking for in terms of content as we decide what we think are going to be the hot topics around that time. There will be 5 theaters at this event again as well, and it'll be the same setup. We're expecting an increase, as I mentioned, in the number of submissions, probably around 175. So as we have the same amount of theaters, the same amount of time available through Tuesday and Thursday, that means we still will only have so many time slots available to give away for call for content. And therefore, we're going to have to be pickier, and we have to really figure out what is going to drive the industry forward through there. Chime, next slide, please. So I just want to open up the floor to kind of start and ask some questions to the audience, get some feedback on conference content. So if you'd like to speak, you can raise your hand and we'll send you a microphone request to add in your input, but you can also add your thoughts into the chat box. So the first question I want to ask you is, how do you think the quality of content is overall? And kind of to go along with that, are there any forms or styles of presentations you would like to see on stage? So right now, our sessions are mostly just made up of panels and presentations. But I want to ask you guys if there's anything that you've been thinking that you want to see on stage. So you can either, if you have any idea on this, you can raise your hand. You can put it in the chat box, but I really want to know what you guys want to see on stage. We're trying to push content forward and making it something that people want to sit down and listen to, whether that be for 20, 25 minutes or 50 minutes. I know 50 minutes can be a long time, but that's why we need to make it something that you guys want to sit down and listen to. So if you guys want to raise your hands, I can certainly unmute you. I don't see anybody right now, so I'm just going to go over to the second question. And that's going to be, are there any themes representative in the industry as a whole, anything that you think that we're missing? So if there's one big thing that you guys really want to see and really want to listen to that you think anybody else and everybody else in the industry may want to sit down and listen to, I'd like to know if there's anything we're missing. So again, you can raise your hands, you can put it in the chat. And if not, you guys can certainly reach out to us and let me know if that's something that you guys have any input on. But that'd be much appreciated.
One from Thomas in the chat. There's a couple in the chat.
Okay, I see them. Okay. A demonstration of uplink capabilities between GND and ACFT. That's definitely something we can take into consideration. These are people we're going to have to reach out to. Have you thought about or ever tried to introduce interactive sessions where the crowd interacts digitally through questions and votes? So funny enough, that's actually something that we did last year in 2024. One thing that can be hard through the digital, so we were using that through the app. We were having people able to go into the app per each session and ask questions throughout the session, ask questions, put an input, vote. Those are all things that we wanted to do. It didn't really work out with the app at the time, but that's definitely something that I would like to revisit because I think you're right. I think having that interaction face to face with the crowd and the speakers, I think that's awesome. So it's definitely something we're going to have to revisit. So we did try and it wasn't really utilized, but I'm happy to try again. And that's something that we can do on a session per session basis. So we can talk to the panelists or the presenters and see if that's something that they want to do. Training and best practices in recruitment. That's also something that we're working on mainly also through our Tomorrow's Voices, pushing the workforce. So that's something that we're also thinking about a lot. So I don't see anybody else. I don't see any hands up. But so on that note, I think I really appreciate the feedback. And again, if anything else comes up into your minds, you can certainly send a message and we can really think about that to push it forward. Oh, I see a hand up. This is awesome. Okay. So Thomas, I'm going to send you the opportunity to unmute yourself.
So I don't know, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud.
Perfect. Globally, I think the presentations you make in the airspace world are always very good. The major problem I've got, it was a problem in Geneva and there's a bigger problem now in Lisbon. The sound quality, the feedback, the loudspeaking system is very poor. So if you can improve that, it will be a great step forward as well.
Thank you. That is great feedback. I think we had that issue in, it wasn't so bad in Lisbon, but we did have the issue in Geneva. So we are working on, we did have one feedback for one session in Lisbon that the quality of the speakers was poor. So that is something we are aware of, and we are doing our best to make sure that we resolve that issue. So thank you very much. If there's nothing else, I think I'm going to pass it over to my colleague Joaquin, and he can start talking about exhibition. And
thank you, Sam. Yeah. Hi, everyone. Thanks very much for joining this call and give us the opportunity to ask for your feedback. Here's a little recap from this year Airspace World. We had a total of 214 exhibitors for a total of 6,800 square meters of stands. This was divided to 58 shell scheme stands, 121 space-only stands, and 35 co-exhibitors who were sharing the space with some of the above-mentioned stands. Listen to the results on the survey. We are doing improvements in the forecourt area to increase the number of food trucks and provide with more food options. Also, I've been working on the floor plan. So there's a new numbering in place. We will share your new stand number pretty soon with you. And this is to improve the attendee experience and the overall navigation of the exhibition area. Also, based on the learnings from the build-up and dismantling, we are reviewing the operations to have a safer and smoother process. And we will improve the signage and directional plans to enhance the navigation within the exhibition halls. Last but not least, we are working with the venue and official suppliers to find a solution to, as much as we can, reduce the impact of the rigging situation at floor. So now back to Agnes.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Joaquin. So I'm going to take the Leadership Summit overview. So apart from changing city, venue, and location for Airspace World, I think the biggest change that we have done from Geneva to this year is that we have changed the format of the previous Executive Summit to the Leadership Summit. A couple of statistics, since it is a membership event, we had a total of 339 people registered for the event, with 295 attended, which is a really good rate, actually. The content focus for the event last year was transforming future skies, key transformations that the aviation industry will undergo in the next 20 years. We looked at optimizing airspace through advanced digital information on automation. We looked at unlocking the potential of higher airspace and attracting new talent to build the future of ATM. So very conference driven, and we hope we got the subject right in order to make this very useful for you. Timmy, if you could go to the next slide. However, as I said earlier, one of the big changes is that we went from the Executive Summit to the Leadership Summit. We have reduced the attendance list. We have done that based on the feedback that we had in previous years for this event needed to be a little bit more leadership driven. So this year, obviously, we need to get some feedback from you. We always do surveys, I have to say, but we're not getting a great amount of constructive feedback. Hence, we're doing this session with you now. So you know that we restricted the attendance numbers from multiple people from an organization to really just the CEO and the other, and the focal point within CANSO that could attend. So my questions to you, was this the right approach? When it comes to the conference, would you like us to incorporate more workshops, more breakout rooms? When it comes to opportunities to interact with each other, would you prefer structure versus open forum? And what about the length of the event? At the moment, it's kind of like a half-a-day event. Is that right? Should it be longer? Should it be shorter? And really any other suggestions? I'm aware that a lot of people that are on this call are not necessarily joining the Leadership Summit, but if you have any feedback from senior management that is attending, it would be great if you could share it with us, but also if you have attended yourself. We would really appreciate a little bit more guidance, because this is a very critical event that we're delivering for our members, and we just want to make sure that you get out of it what you need to get out of it. So I'm going to just open the forum. I think that's one question in from Ari. What is the plan with the Leadership Summit for 2026? I have heard many negative feedback, has to become much more interactive. So this is exactly the reasons why we're having this conversation at the moment. The interactivity is something that has been shared with us as well. Hence, we are looking into incorporating workshops, breakouts, really for this event to be less just presentation focused. You have people on stage and then everybody else listens, to really facilitate the conversation between people. So this is we are kind of at the moment going through our ideas process, our strategic planning, but that's one of the aims that we want to do, just really make it a little bit more interactive and less front-facing conference, basically. any other feedback, and please do not be shy. We're doing this, in order to help our members achieve on their objectives. We don't want to be tapping in the dark, anything. And if you don't have anything now to share, you can reach out to us after the event. It's just, anything that you can really help us to develop the event further to your needs, that would really help us. There's one more question, so let me just check.
Unmute.
Unmute. There you are, Ari.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
First and foremost, thank you very much for organizing this.
You're welcome.
Can you guys hear? You don't have to see me, do you? No, I can. I don't know. No, forget it. Yeah, I heard you say, what was it? Constructive feedback, right? I see that happening around the table. I think that the format should change. And it's always easy to say, right? But how? I heard from quite a lot of people more interaction. How to do that? I don't have the silver bullet answer, but only listening to that part and not having it all plenary, I think is already a great start. Would you have enough people to help you with that input? If you say, no, we don't, then I'm absolutely happy to call around in my network and say, hey, you said this at the summit. Let's join in the group and give them, constructive input to change it.
So you're making a really good point, and maybe I should have said this at the very beginning. So after this session, we as a group will get together. We will go through the comments and the feedback that we have received. Okay. And one of the things that we will offer our members is to have regular, we don't know the frequency yet, it's something that we need to work out, but a little bit of a more consultation with you as our clients, in order to make sure that we really get doing it right.
Perfect. All right. I volunteer for that.
We don't know the format, we don't know the frequency, but that's the purpose of this call, and for us to move forward and really making sure that we improve year on year.
Sure. Very good. What I really liked around the Leadership Summit was the networking opportunity, of course. I think the length of the event itself was okay for me. If we find another form that could help, those were for now my biggest feedback. And as I said, I'm volunteering to help you guys on that.
I will hold you to it. Great. Anybody else? Any feedback? Nope. Okay, then as I said, you know how to get hold of us. Please don't be shy. We're here to listen to you in order to make sure that, as I said earlier, that we make the event better and better every year. A couple of things that I wanted to touch base on in terms of what we're looking on for next year. As I said earlier, we are looking at the format of the Leadership Summit and the opening reception. The opening reception was something new that we did. It was okay as the first one, but I think we can do so much better. So we're doing a little bit of brainstorming and strategic work on these two areas at the moment. And the other things that we are looking into is we would like to offer more tours. I don't know if those on the call are familiar with what CESA usually does, but they take groups around stands and kind of explain a little bit. So we're looking into doing that to really make sure that our attendees have a better starting point and kind of are a little bit more organized when it comes to visiting stands. This is something that we would love to do with a partner. We're in early stages, so we're open really to any ideas that come in from the group. And the other thing, we are looking into holding some hands-on workshops. So really just kind of, going down maybe a level, but really hands-on, smaller workshops that attendees can participate in. We actually had 2 planned last year, but unfortunately somebody got sick, so we had to cancel them last minute. But again, this is something that we would be looking to our exhibitors and partners to see if there's really interesting they can offer. We have the space, you guys have the know-how, and we can bring the clients, and then you can deliver the workshops. Next thing that we really want to build on is our PR activities. And so Angie is not on this call today, but we really want to make sure that we engage better with press. We had a little press event last year. We really want to grow on that. And this is, again, something that we would be looking to you to make sure that your PR departments are working with us, because we're stronger together. So it would be great if we can kind of really deliver more on the PR front. And then the next one, this is just kind of really me. I would love to see more experiential activities on the show floor. It's great to do an exhibition where people go into an exhibition stand, talk to somebody and walk away. But I would love just to see a little bit more excitement at the show in terms of experiential stuff where people can participate. Again, I'm really open to any ideas. If any exhibitors have any really interesting ideas, come talk to us and we can look into this. And then the next one is looking at the ROI for everyone. That is for the attendees, that is for yourselves as members and exhibitors, and for us as a company, obviously, as well, because we have targets as well. So we would really like to get a little bit more insight, what you would like to get out of the event. But here I'm going to actually hand over to Mike, who will lead you through a bit of a feedback session, and then we can discuss any of these activities.
Thanks, Agnes. So, as Agnes said, anything on new ideas, I will just go back. Ari also was asking about the AGM. Good to note that the world's Airspace World includes a CANSO AGM in a new format. It was, as you probably know, this year as part of Airspace World. It had always been the XCOM's vision, as I understand it, was we're trying to put less events on you or reduce the numbers but increase the impact. And so having AGM as part of Lisbon was removing it. Ari also commented that it previously used to be 3 days. The AGM itself, as I understand it, has always been 1 day or even a half a day. It was part of a global ATM summit that CANSO organized, which was plenary and conference sessions, which obviously created a larger event. But the AGM format itself has not changed. It is now just part of Airspace World. Ari also asked, what does the strategic focus include? This is really how we hone in on specific targets, demographics, industries, regions within our focus area. And this is where we look for feedback of areas that you feel are not coming to the event, whether that be a part of the world or a specific vertical industry. Those are the focuses we have. Manuel covered some of those, but that's really what we talk about, our strategic focuses. We obviously want to make sure those people who are already coming continue to come, but we want to increase that as always and make sure we're evolving with our industry. So that's the strategic focus. I don't think there was any other questions. Is there any other sort of general feedback or questions that you'd like to make specifically on Airspace World? We will come to a session at the end where we can talk about in general terms, but is there any more comments, any more ideas or any feedback on the areas that we're sort of pursuing for Airspace World? I'm not quite sure how long you have to wait, but I will say, okay. I'll reiterate what Agnes says. I think most of you know at least one of us. You have our email addresses. If not, you can contact us through the website. If you have ideas or you want to talk offline, that door is always open. So I'll pass back to Agnes as we move on.
Okay, so let's move on then to our biggest focus right now, which is Airspace Asia Pacific. It's happening in December, so it's keeping all of us quite busy. Tim, if you could go to the first slide. So just to reiterate for those of you that don't know, the event will take place in Hong Kong, in China, from the 9th to the 11th of December in Asia World Expo. For those of you that haven't been to Hong Kong in a while, it's the venue that is right next to the airport, so really easy to get to. In terms of the format of the event, we will be starting off with the CANSO Asia Pacific Conference for our members, taking place on the 8th of December. The theme of the conference is Seamless Airspace, Aviation and Metrology Integration. The Asia Pacific Conference will be followed by a 3-day exhibition. On the exhibition floor, we have 2 exhibition floor theaters, we have meeting rooms, and we have stands. And in addition to that, we are going to be holding quite a few CANSO-led meetings as we do with all of the bigger events. And for this particular event, it will be the Ops and Safety Working Group, the APAC-A NSAP committee meeting, CANSO CEO meeting, and we're also working very closely with Hong Kong CAD on this event, who are arranging additional meetings to take place during the event. So we have a really busy agenda for the week, and really looking forward to launching this event in Asia. So yeah, it's all looking good, but obviously any feedback is welcome. And with that, I'm going to hand over to Mike for an overview on the floor plan.
Thanks, Agnes. So many of you have seen this. As you can see, the floor plan is well, a long way towards full. We've got some very exciting exhibitors on there from across the region, and also international exhibitors. We're very pleased with the situation of where we're at now. Some space still there. We obviously have 3 months to go, and as is the way with this market, we know that there's a lot of people still very interested at this late stage, but excited about how it is. And as I say, got some very exciting exhibitors already in place. Who am I handing back to?
101.
It's me, yeah. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Agnes. Hi, everybody. So yeah, just want to go over the attendee expectations and what we're looking to expect at the event in 2025. So in terms of numbers, we're looking to get over 2,000 attendees from across the globe, specifically focused on the APAC region. So obviously the countries represented there are the sort of key locations that we're sort of targeting and I would like to obviously have at the event. In terms of our attendee demographics, we're also looking at air navigation service providers, regulators and government officials, airlines and airports, UTM, AAM and eVTOL specialists, sustainability and climate change experts, academics and researchers, and defence and military professionals as well. So yeah, that's what we're looking to hopefully get at the event this year. Over to Sam.
Yep, back to me. Thanks again, Munavar. So I'm going to give just a little insight onto our Asia Pacific conference. One big difference about Asia Pacific is that we're only going to have 2 theaters rather than the 5 that we have at Airspace World. So as you can see, our themes have been decided for Asia Pacific and they're listed there. Similar to Airspace World, the themes are determined by industry-wide concerns. We just have more of a regional focus. And call for content for this event has already opened and closed. Everyone has received their decisions and invitations to speak. We, again, have more submissions than we can accommodate, which has us reviewing each and every submission to make some hard decisions. But we have great submissions, so great content that is going to be on stage. We'll be placing the full agenda live on our website next week. And ultimately, I think that's all I really have for Airspace Asia Pacific content. So again, I'll pass it back over to Joaquin to go over Asia Pacific exhibitor information.
Thanks again, Sam. Okay, so the online exhibitor manual for our APAC event was launched back in June with a very good exhibitor engagement so far. We have new suppliers, most of them they're local. Miltok Exhibit, who is acting as the role of the general contractor and our preferred space-only stand builder. ESS Vision, who replaces Abraxas in Lisbon. They're in charge of the stand plan approval and the on-site floor management, and also helping me to make sure that the health and safety rules and regulations are in compliance. And Asia World Expo as the venue and the exclusive catering supplier. Deadlines. You have a specific section created for this on the online exhibitor manual. Please feel free to check it at any time. If you can access it, please contact me through customer care at airspaceworld.com. Next deadlines, and one of the most important is the stand design approval, which is on the 17th of October. The main services request, the early bird ends on the 17th of October as well. And catering orders is 23rd of November. Then for shipments, deadlines vary depending on which transportation mode you're choosing, between the 7th and the 29th of November. With the new venue, we have some changes in the build regulations. We have a short period of build-up and dismantling. Therefore, we decided to reduce the maximum build height at the event to 4 meters. You have 1.5 extra meters for your technical trusses, and double deck stands are not allowed in our Hong Kong China event. Difference to Lisbon and Geneva before, we have a carpeted hall. So please look into the dedicated section in the OEM, include all the precautionary measures all exhibitors must put in place so not to damage the carpet and avoid any extra charges. So that was me. Thank you, and back to Agnes.
Okay, thank you, Joaquin. Then a couple of general items on the Asia event. First of all, registration is live. We went live about 2 weeks ago now. All exhibitors and members have been invited to our registration platform to start registering their staff and their guests. Those of you that are also exhibiting will be quite familiar with our registration platform. This might be new to members, but we have created some really good video tutorials. But basically, that platform will allow for you to quite easily register your staff and your guests to both the conference and the exhibition. If you haven't received the email for whatever reason, just drop us an email at registration@airspaceworld.com and we can resend it to you. So as I said, registration is opened, and don't be shy, register and come to the event. And then on the next one, hotels, we're being asked a lot, obviously, at where the CANSO team is staying. So just to make sure that everybody is aware, the CANSO team will be staying in the Hong Kong Sky City Marriott Hotel. It's within walking distance to the venue. You can, if you would like to book that hotel or any other ones, we have a booking link set up on our website. It's also in here, and I believe we will share the slides with you, but you can find the booking link to our accommodation on our website. Two big things that are currently in the work for us still. One is that we will be producing an Airspace Asia Pacific today, as we did in Lisbon. The products for that will be available shortly, so they're being finalized at the moment. And the same goes with venue advertising. If you're interested in that, we're just finalizing the packages, and you can always reach out to Mike or Christina if you're interested in advertising at the event. So gonna hand over to Mike for the feedback session.
Okay, same drill as last time, but focused on Airspace Asia Pacific. We did have a question from Ari. Will you run the CANSO led meetings parallel to the event? I'm assuming, Ari, you mean for Asia Pacific. The short answer to that is yes. Obviously, as Agnes said, on day 0, as we affectionately call it, the day before the main event, there will be an equivalent to the Leadership Summit for APAC. And that's really the core member event, which all members will have a certain number of passes to be able to attend. There will obviously be then CANSO events through the event running in different streams and different working groups, and that sort of thing, not necessarily part of the event program. So you'll hear from various project leads on the meetings that are taking place. Are there any other comments, questions about Hong Kong? Ari's raised his hand.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, hi, Mike. The sign on for that special event on Monday and the other events, I recall in Lisbon this year there were numerous ways that you had to sign up for the Leadership Summit, the event itself, etc. Is that now combined into one, or you again have to sign up for the different events?
Do you mean so the Leadership Summit
Yeah.
and the opening party? Do you mean
Yeah.
in Lisbon?
Yeah.
Agnes, you know the answer to this.
I do. No, so Ari, it will be on the same platform, and it was on the same platform last year. They're just different distinctions. So we have the registration platform, which is has been in the past and still is for exhibitors, for attendees, for press, everybody that's come to that channel. But what we have done this year is slightly different. We actually want to give our members more autonomy when it comes to registering the staff that is entitled to come to the conference. So every focal point that we have on record for CANSO has been emailed last week a login details for the platform. And in that platform, you can register for the conference. And if you go to the conference, the exhibition comes automatically with that. If you have registered already, if you've been very, very keen, and if you've registered for the if you've already registered for the exhibition before you got your logins for the conference element, you can just go into the system and add that pass to your allocation.
Okay, thank you.
And if there's any questions, just because for members we're aware, so we've run the system already for exhibitors, it's been working and we're very pleased with that, but it is something new for members. So as I said earlier, any questions, just drop us an email at registration@airspaceworld.com. And within the registrations that we have Q&As, we have some videos. It's super easy once you've done it once.
So there's another question from Gintridge. I hope I pronounced that correctly. From a Frequentis point of view, Airspace World, the event app is good. I would propose including also visitor management systems so we can better monitor visitors on our booth and provide them with information and contact after the visit. The best would be great if we can integrate with our booth story and station into directly. I think the short answer to that is there was a system in place with the app this year for you to capture data, but it didn't work, I think is the broad comment to that. We're unhappy about that. For Asia, we are going to be doing it and all exhibitors will get that free of charge this year. I think if you're asking for something more expansive, obviously would like to hear what that is. There's a lot of data challenges with monitoring attendees. Anonymous data is one thing, but monitoring their movements and that sort of thing, we get into quite a serious wall on data management. So capturing their data as they come onto stand, yes, we have those tools, and you can have as many of those once you've purchased, and Agnes can keep me honest here, once you've purchased that as a company, all of your relevant people, staff can use that to capture data and we send you a list afterwards. Does that cover your question? I hope so. If not, tell us. Okay. Any other questions on Asia Pacific at all? Okay, thank you. I'll pass back to Agnes. Oh.
Okay. So the last one that I'm covering before I hand over to Mike on the regional events is our Airspace Africa and Middle East event. We launched that a couple of months ago, very, very early days, but there's already a few things that we can share with you. So Jimmy, if you could go to the next slide. So let me start as the famous business book from many, many years ago is why? Why are we doing this? So whilst we completely understand that both markets, well, Africa and Middle East, are at very different stages, there are very interesting developments happening in both of the markets. We had feedback, especially from the Middle East region, that it would be great if we would do something there as well. So we really taken the feedback on board, did a lot of brainstorming, and we have decided to merge the two events. Basically, for us as CANSO, our core mission here is to really convene the industry and convene the members. And we try to find a way without really bringing a completely new event. And that's why we're integrating the Africa event in the Abu Dhabi location and on when it's happening every other year. So there will be one standalone in Africa, and there will be one that's going to be taking place around Airspace, Africa and Middle East. The other advantage is obviously Abu Dhabi is a very accessible city for everybody, more accessible than I think a lot of other regions within Africa. But also attaching a regional conference every other year to an Airspace World will give you, our members, a little bit more exposure to the wider industry outside of the membership. So there will be a membership-driven event, and followed by the exhibition where you can get exposure to a wider new region. And then Mike, if you could go to the next, sorry, not Mike, Jimmy, go to the next slide. So the event will take place on the 13th and 14th in the ADNEC venue in Abu Dhabi in the UAE. The format, it is really early stages for us still, but basically the current plan is that on day 0, so on the Monday the 12th, we will have the CANSO Asia conference in the morning. Then we will also at the same time introduce a CANSO Middle East regional meeting. We're not quite there yet to have a full-fledged conference on that right now. It might change. But we also, based on some feedback that we have received, we want to also hold a Euro-Asia meeting. So every region really has their own individual couple of hours where they can focus on what is the initiatives that are really crucial for that region. And then we will finish the day with a joint conference with everybody together, really kind of looking where the collaboration is, where the opportunities are, where the common challenges are that can be addressed through that event. The event then will follow a 2-day exhibition. Just want to point that out. So because we normally have the 3-day cycle, this will be only a 2-day exhibition. But we're still looking forward to exhibition floor plans, meeting room, kind of everything that we usually provide at the event. And then as you are very familiar with other Airspace events, we will have CANSO-led meetings, but they will be confirmed over the next couple of months as we get into the planning of this event. With that, I think I'm handing over back to Mike.
Yeah, so this is another floor plan. It was only launched a couple of weeks ago, and as you can see, we have 5 people already committed, which is great, but still, as Agnes said, very early stages for us. Obviously, Hong Kong and Lisbon, or Hong Kong certainly is our main focus currently. So this is 15 months away, but already companies booking in. So it's a compact, if you know the ADNEC facility in Abu Dhabi, very compact, very modern facility. We're taking all 5, which enables us to put a very good exhibition, which will serve many needs, which we're very excited about. But yeah, if you want any information, please either email or go to the website and we'll be happy to help. Still me. Okay, same drill again. Are there any comments or questions specifically around Airspace Africa and Middle East? Ari's raised his hand. Must be getting quite an achy arm by now, Ari.
I will cut it off, Mike, I promise you. What I really like about the way you set this one up is that you have the conference the day ahead of the exhibition. That's always, I know it's a challenge for everybody, but especially for us exhibitors, to be able to have a dedicated session there and then followed by the exhibition is well planned. So a big hand for that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I think it's a format. As Agnes says, just to go back, the one of the core advantages to the Airspace format is we can bring others from outside, which also helps spread the word. We need to include others in the wider conversation. So the format of Airspace World allows that, but we're also very conscious that these are CANSO events. So we must make sure that we address CANSO need and CANSO members, and that's critical to us. So yes, I don't foresee that format, maybe how it actually happens may change, but that consciousness won't ever change as far as I'm aware. Thanks, Ari. Any other comments about Africa and Middle East? Okay, so I think you're stuck with me for a little bit longer now. So the member events, as Agnes said at the beginning, we have CANSO member events, which are either subject specific or regionally specific, and these are very powerful events and they're member exclusive events, and so they serve regions, and this is where the actual regional elements of CANSO or the subject specific areas of CANSO members can come together and have some very productive and proactive discussions. So next slide, please, Jimmy. So the events that we've had this year, you can see there, as we've said, these are slightly changing each time because of the Airspace event. So we would normally annually have an APAC conference, which we're not having this year because that's part of the Airspace event this year. So the same is relevant for next year. We won't have the Africa conference because we've got Africa and Middle East. We have, well, certainly to my knowledge, we've never had a Middle East conference. So that's part of an expansion into new areas. So we've got safety, OSE, which is the Operations Standing Committee, which has an event which is sort of a mixture of plenary sessions and conference sessions. The same for the Global Safety Conference, which was very successful in New Zealand, and then the OSC Summit in California. I'll talk about the Africa and the LAC events in a moment, and then next year, so the safety conference is in Jeddah in March, a similar format over 3 or 4 days, and so for those people specifically engaged in safety, not only full members but associate members who are engaged in that conversation, again a mixture of workshops, working groups, and plenary sessions, and then the OSC Connect, which is the evolution of Summit. Which again is a mixture of plenary around operation facilitation within the ASPs, again open to full and associate members. And then we have the APAC conference, which is returning to the CANSO member-only format for next year in Vietnam in June. And then our Latin American Caribbean conference, we don't have a destination for that just yet for the end of next year. And that will almost certainly be sort of November, December time. Because we have the Africa Middle East event in October, but that's the format through the year. If you can go to the next slide. So the Africa conference, we went to Nairobi this year, 2 weeks ago now, 3 weeks ago. It was a great success. One of our challenges for these events is trying to make them accessible. We've already talked about Abu Dhabi as a new location. And one of the conscious decisions as part of that was accessibility, and Kenya and Nairobi certainly ticked that box. We had a wonderful experience there with a lot of support from KCAA, though they were not the full hosts of the event. We had full rooms for 3 days. We explored numerous subjects. We talked extensively about the CAT's vision for Africa specifically. We had a very good productive day talking about sort of next generation of ASP, how we engage more, how cross-border collaboration, a very open, very interesting discussion in Africa. So that was the African event, which was at the end of August this year. And then the next slide, please, Jimmy. And then CANSO Latin America Caribbean Conference, which we affectionately know as LAC. So catch me out if I start saying that. So this is happening in Panama at the end of next month. A very similar format. And very similar in its sort of makeup. The difference is obviously it's talking about Latin American and Caribbean concerns around these same subjects, as opposed to African or APAC. We are being hosted by the Panama ANSP, which is very generous of them, and we're expecting around 150 attendees. We already have exhibits and sponsors, and as Agnes talked at the very beginning, these are conferences primarily. They have small sort of tabletop supporting exhibitors, which is exclusive to associate members. Well, it's exclusive to all members, I should say, but my point being it's not open to non-members. So this is a great opportunity. I know there's a lot of people who hold these opportunities in very high regard because the attendance is a very high level and a very high quality, and you get an opportunity to network with these people because it's a relatively small group. What an airspace world gives you in quantity and vast capacity, these give you a very concise and excellent time to have detailed conversations with very senior people. So both of these events are I've only been with CANSO for 3 years. Both of these events are well organised and well delivered and extraordinarily powerful for what they do, and it serves a members' focus in the region. Next slide, please. So my question, or our question to you as a group, and we've covered that, I'll run through these and we can just go through this, is just to see who is engaged. What we see is obviously from a regional full members, the NSPs, they're very engaged, but certainly from an associate member, and I know we've got full and associate members on this call. I'd be interested to know if you get involved, because we very much see that there are a group of people, group of companies, I should say, who are engaged, if not with all, but with most of these regional events. And a lot of our other members are not. So we want to try and explore as to why that is and what we can do. So the first one is, are you engaged in these events? Or do you come, or do you send someone? So if you could just vote on that either you attend, you send in a colleague, or your organisation does not attend the CANSO conferences. That would be very helpful. Thank you. Okay. If everyone's voted. Okay. Do you need me to end that, Jimmy, or do you do that? Okay, thank you very much. Share results. So, I mean, there's engagement from this group. Relatively small section of people have voted on it. So I suppose I would move on to the next question. Jimmy, if you can take us back to that slide. So I'm interested, Thomas, to your question. And it said on the poll that there's 24 people capable of voting, and of which I think there was 10 who voted there. So a sample size, shall we say. My question is, and this is probably a deeper question, but if there's people who've got comments or would like to speak to it, how do we encourage greater engagement and attendance to CANSO member events? I mean, the events that we're talking about, we're not talking about Airspace, we're not talking about the AGM at Airspace or the Leadership Summit, we're talking about the regional and subject-specific events that I've outlined. Is there any insight or comment as to what we can potentially do to increase that? Okay. Ari and Howard. Should we go to Ari first?
No, I mean, Mike, when you ask a question, you need an answer, right? So
I don't have to,
I've
but
only
thank you
been
anyway.
with CANSO for 22 years, I think. One of the things you might want to look into is the financial commercial aspect of it. I truly support the fact that we want to make more money and be commercially, but I've also seen over the years that where in the past members had access, and there needs to be a rationale, right? And there needs to be a balance. You can't give free access to everybody, but I think the cost aspect could be an incentive to attract more people. I don't say make it for free, but look at the 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 the, the price you sometimes ask for attending an event. That is it's very general, but just a general statement. I'm happy to help later with details.
No, I mean, it's a valid point, and it's certainly something that we've discussed. These are not, well, not that any of the events that CANSO organise are driven by profit, but certainly these regional events that we do obviously offer sponsorships, and we do charge, depending on your level of membership, we do charge for attendance.
Sure.
But it's really to pay for your lunch. Let's put it that way. You know, it's to cover the cost of the delivery of the event, which it sort of does. I mean,
Okay.
without giving away internal secrets. But no, it's a very valid point. Thank you, Ari. And then Howard.
Hi, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, colleagues. So my name is Howard Greaves. I'm from the Jamaica Civil Aviation Authority. One of the things I've been looking at, even in terms of airspace world, is the fact that it's more Eurocentric, held in Europe, while we in the Americas, it costs a lot for us to travel to Europe to attend this CANSO driven activity. And my question to the committee is whether there was any consideration with CANSO moving its headquarters now to Montreal, whether we can have a alternating of airspace world between Europe and the Caribbean, and even in other regions within the world, so as to allow for greater participation by some smaller states?
It's a really good question, and it's a really big can of worms that you're potentially opening there, Howard. I think the answer is that I think the discussion is, and there's two sides to this coin. And certainly myself and certainly some of my other colleagues here, I've worked my whole life in business-to-business events, and I've done events that have moved every time, and I've done events that have stayed in one place. One of the overriding feelings that we got when we started, when CANSO took back over this event, as it was the World ATM Congress, was people wanted it to be in one place. They wanted a home. It wanted to be, that's where it went. They didn't want to move, and even moving to Geneva and then to Lisbon was a large undertaking. So logistically, yes, we could do that. I think it's much bigger strategic question as to if we were to move such a large event every year, but it's duly noted. I think is the answer to that. I mean, you know, we have these other regional airspace events. That's not to say that we wouldn't do one of those in Latin America or in the Americas, or you know, so that door is open. And so, yeah, it's a really good point, and a difficult one to find a perfect answer to. Let's put it that way. Any other questions on how we can engage greater attendance? Okay, so we've got the next vote. 3 days is sort of 2 nights, 3 days is the format for most of these events, if not all. I just would like to know, we've had a lot of discussions, do we think, should it be a bit longer, should it be a bit shorter, is that about the right length? So you can arrive on a Tuesday morning and you can leave on a Thursday evening, gives you 2 nights in a hotel. I just want to really see if we've sort of got it right. Okay, so broadly the answer, I can end the poll, can I share results? Oh, done something wrong, I've broken it, Jane. So broadly, they're about the right length. Again, a relatively small sample, but we'll assume it's a strong one. 2 say they should be longer, 1 says shorter, and the rest say 75% say the right length. So thank you for that. If I can go back to the question sheet, sorry, go back to the original sheet, please. The questions after the regionals. So just really on the regional events, are there any other feedback specifically on the CANSO events, the safety, the OSC, or the regional events that there is anybody would like to feedback? As I say, I think they're very impactful, they're very popular with a lot of people, but we'd like that group to be larger from our point of view, ideally. Okay, so we move on. So the one final thing, and we all spent an awful lot of time in COVID looking at webinars and virtual events, and my personal opinion is we fell out of love with them when we were actually allowed to leave the house. And so the interest in those dropped off quite dramatically as we came out of COVID. So, but I wanted to talk about them. They are events. We're sitting on fundamentally a webinar now. We do a webinar product which CANSO uses for some of its work groups and some of its other presentations. And also there is the opportunity for sponsors to do this. And we fully deliver them, as you're seeing now. I would imagine when I'm not on it, it's more professional, but let's worry about that another day. And so this is an events product ultimately, and they are still valuable. I think we're definitely seeing a trend back to webinars being interesting. I think they are more of an educational platform as opposed to a networking platform, but they are still very impactful. I really just wanted to ask this group, are they still relevant? Are they an interesting format for people and businesses? You know, our feeling is now we do get good attendance to our webinars, but is there other formats or other structures of virtual events that we should be undertaking as well? I think through COVID, certainly I was involved in an organisation. We were exploring numerous virtual event formats, platforms, as many events businesses were when they had to close their doors to the physical events. And so, and I think a lot of us have come back to webinars because it is fundamentally an educational platform. But if there are other options, then we're open to that. Okay, I will take that silence as agreement. So that we have one, we will come to other business and we will talk through some of the actions that we've come to, but I have one other question to ask this group, and it is a final vote. What I want to know is we've obviously put this call together and we've invited all members, focal points and marketing contacts who are with members at Airspace World. We put this group together in the hope that we can obviously get some feedback, and there's been some really great feedback so far that's been really valuable, and thank you so much for that. We feel that there's sort of two choices from here. We can either create a committee, which Agnes talked about when Ari was talking about the leadership summit. We can create a sort of smaller group, and the number of that is to be decided, that can meet more regularly than once a year, and that would again be decided once we understood what the format of that and what the responsibilities of that group would be. Or would you prefer that we're just doing a call like this once a year where we invite all members and do this format that we had and present everything and listen to feedback once a year? So there's a vote coming up. It would be great if you can give us your opinion on which you would prefer, and then we'll take that action accordingly. Okay. If anybody else wishes to vote, it looks like we've got about 54% of the people on the call have participated. And so currently we're 71% to hold an annual event, 29% to create a group committee. Anybody else wishing to vote? Okay. So thank you for that. I'm going to now hand back to Agnes, who will share sort of any other business and any sort of CANSO actions.
So thank you, Mike. So just to wrap up, we've been taking notes as we went along. Some of them are here. We will get together as a group just to make sure that we haven't really missed. Just want to kind of go through them really quickly. So we said we're going to explore interactive conference sessions around the leadership summit, but also everything else that we do, because interaction is, you know, what events are all about. We will continue to improve the theatre AV in the theatres. Sorry, 1 and 3, they are pretty much the same. We will focus on defense a little bit more, so that's part of the new areas that we're looking into for our event. We will continue exploring pricing, making sure that it all works for everybody. And then the last question was, could we explore for Airspace World to be moving every other year between 2 continents? As Mike said, can of worms, but we can have that discussion and kind of, you know, eventually kind of give you a bit of a more solid response. So with that, any other business? And just before I kind of say that, we have an open door policy. If there's anything that you want to share with us, please reach out to one of us. Worst case, you're going to get a no, but if you don't ask, you don't get. So please work with us. We want to really make sure this event is really hitting it on the nail with you as our members, on the industry, and really that we as the events team of CANSO really contribute to convening this industry, moving it forward, and really facilitating the discussion, facilitating a platform to really move into the right direction. So I'm going to pause here. I believe there is a question. Let me just go down. Okay, that was just a confirmation on the smaller run group from one of the members. Anything else? I'm just looking between 2 different screens and the chat and questions. Anything else that has come up? And actually, my team, let me know if I have missed anything in terms of the action
So I
points.
think Gendrix and also Ari have said that there is a preference for both, which we actually missed off as an option to vote. So create a committee and do an annual meeting like this.
Good shout.
No, I
I'm
think
gonna
we've got everything else covered there. And I mean, unless there's any other comments or actions or anything that the audience feels that we've missed from comments, I'll leave it to you to close, Agnes.
Okay, so thank you very much, everybody. I'm a broken record. We have an open door policy. Please speak to us. We'll welcome any ideas. We can evaluate them. Not everything is possible. Some ideas might be great short-term, others long-term. We're here to really make sure that we are providing a platform for the industry to convene, to drive the industry, to exchange ideas and really bring together what we need to do. So please reach out to us. Thank you very much for joining. We will send a recap of that, and you should hear from us shortly on the next steps. So thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.